Nothing ever goes away until it teaches us what we need to know. Pema children. There's so many experiences in our life that teach us life lessons, especially in the context of communication. From our high school days, where we presented a lot of memorized presentations, shivering through them, to the presentations we give at work, to the ones we give in the boardroom, to the ones we give to our family. And of course, improvised ones, which is exactly why in this week's episode of MasterTalk, I'm going to teach you the 3 different types of presentations and how to master them. Hi everyone, Brendan here from MasterTalk, your go-to channel to mastering your talk. And today we're talking about the big 3 types of presentations. So let's start learning. Number 1, memorized presentations. This is where you take a speech that you write word for word and then memorize it to then give a presentation. I personally do not like this approach and I recommend it very rarely, with the exceptions being you're a beginner, it's your first time presenting in a second language, which is usually English, or if you're a startup CEO and you need to get every little word right for your 5-minute pitch competition day. So for those situations, okay, writing a word for word speech and reciting it word for word will lead to some benefits, but for the most part, it does bring hindrance, which is if you forget one of the sentences, you'll start to panic because you'll lose track of how you're giving that presentation. Nonetheless, there are a lot of big benefits to memorized presentations. Let me give you one in particular, especially for those of you whose first language is not English. For those of you listening who are in that category, doing 1 or 2 memorized speeches actually goes a long way because it helps you work on your pronunciation. Let's say you're reading your text, and in the first 2 sentences, you have trouble presenting and pronouncing 2 words in the English language. Let's say you have trouble pronouncing dictionary. So what you'll do is you'll say dictionary 20 times, dictionary, 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 until it's absolutely perfect, and then you'll keep going with the speech. But if you do that for the whole thing, your articulation will be 100 times better in English when you actually deliver that presentation. But in general, you want to stay away from memorized speeches unless you're an absolute beginner. Number 2, prepared presentations. The big difference between memorized and prepared just lies in how you practice for the speech. So in prepared, what happens is you ask yourself higher level questions from the audience. What is their key idea? What do you want them to take away from your presentation? What is their key outcome? Number 2 is, what is your audience dreaming about right now? What do they care about? What do they value? Another question is, wait a second, what are some of the barriers that are preventing them from achieving success from implementing your idea? So these questions help us formulate, structure, and prepare better for our presentations. And then when we get there, what happens is every slide is just one of those supporting key ideas. And how you practice for this is you just say, hey, did I get every single one of these ideas correct? Which ones did I miss? Are they in the right order? And if you do that, you'll have mastered prepared speeches without having to memorize a single word. And finally, number 3, impromptu or improvised presentation. This is the Olympics of presentations, where you give a topic and speak about it without having 0 prep time, 0 practice, and 0 expertise. Isn't that amazing? These are the types of presentations that will really level up your game. And the strategy here is in the following sentence. I don't know what I'm going to say in my improvised speech as much as you do, but through my way of speaking, I'm going to convince you that I do, so that through my way of speaking, you will too. And that's really the key to spontaneous, improvised speeches. So now how do you practice this? This is an exercise I call the random word exercise. Pick a word like light bulb, like ceiling, like home, and create random presentations out of thin air. Let me use an example with home to demonstrate. Ever since I was a kid, I didn't grow up with much, but I lived in a home that valued love, integrity, and honesty. And even if I didn't have the money to buy all of my favorite things, I always remembered what home felt like. There's this old saying that I always remember when I think of the word home. And that quote is, the bigger the home, the smaller the community. If you live in a really, really big house, it's a lot harder to connect with the people in that house. But if you live in a really small house like I did, you're really close to the people around you. So I ask all of you today, regardless of where your home is, to cherish it, to love it, and to continue being in it. That's the random word exercise. I made mistakes, and that's okay. But the key here is it's not that I'm perfect, it's that I'm convincing you through my smiles, my vocal tones, my eye contact, that, hey, I've been preparing this speech for 6 years, and I'm going to convince you that I am. So what's your homework? Your homework, and this is the best part, you don't even need to prepare like the other two presentation types that I gave you earlier today, is every single day for 5 minutes a day, do the random word exercise. And for those of you who are saying, well, I don't have time, the only question I have for you is, do you shower every day? Because if you shower every day, you got 15 minutes in there to do the random word exercise, 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. So I encourage you to practice and become a master at improvised presentations. Nothing ever goes away until it teaches us what we need to know. What's great about all of these different presentation types is when you learn to master each and every single one of them, you become better. You become a master at your craft. So I encourage you not just to focus on one presentation type, but to focus on all three of them. Pick one for today. But then once you've done the random word exercise 100 times, I'll encourage you to go into prepared presentations. Then after that, try 1 or 2 memorized ones, see how you fare. But the key is play with all the different types so that you become a master of all. As always, if you enjoyed this week's episode of MasterTalk, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well to see more videos like this. And of course, I encourage all of you to come to my free communication workshop over Zoom. It's absolutely free, and the link is in the description below. I can't wait to see you there. And of course, if you know one person who wants to get better at communication, who isn't really sure of the different presentation types, I encourage you to send them this video so that they'll be one step closer to mastering their talk. See you next time, everyone. Take care.